Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast. We're sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Goebel Septic, and Americool Heating and Air Conditioning. And we're doing a special Zoom recording today. This is the first time for the three of us. Look at Zach is like all the way laid back, sitting on a patio of some kind, just living his best life.
Living like a king out here in Auburn, Washington on my patio.
Yeah, you look great, man. Good work this weekend. Everything looks pretty good. You guys covered a lot of stuff.
God damn, we covered so much.
Photos folder is jam-packed.
Yeah, I went through this morning trying to get some photos lined up to download to put on pages later, and was just astounded by the sheer volume of stuff, and everything's good. Ruben King did a great job over at Cross Country. You guys did a great job covering all kinds of stuff yesterday. So, yeah, things look good. But today is one of my favorite days of the prep sports year, the day that the brackets drop and everybody instantly forgets about RPI. Isn't it glorious?
It's so wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, RPI, more like RIP, am I right? So we're going to recap the crossover games real quick, take a quick look at district tournaments and what happened there, and look ahead to state. So let's start with the crossovers. And in the football arena, nothing was close. Gage Brumfield had 7 first-half touchdowns. He had 7 in the first. What? Really?
Yeah. Oh. Yes.
He's back playing quarterback. Last week
he had an 8-1 called back too.
He had a brief dalliance as a starting wide receiver, and then they were like, you know what? We're going to throw you back at quarterback. That was just kind of, we're having some funsies with Black Hills or whoever that was. So yeah, WFS blew out Squim 56-3, and Tumwater blew out Renton 70-8. How do we feel about those two? Any surprises there?
None whatsoever.
I'm surprised Renton scored.
Yeah, which is a terrible thing to say, but yeah, we got 2 good gamers in on those. They're available on crownline.com. Josh Kirschenbaum, our old pal, came in and covered those, did a little pinch hitting, so that was cool to see. Elsewhere on the football board, Napawine beat Morton White Pass 62-24. Adna ran past Rainier 69-12, and Onalaska beat Owako 67-0. Toledo beat Forks 62-20. If you would have told me the average score from our 6 local teams in their crossover games was 60? Higher than that?
Yeah.
Probably like 63. I don't know what I would have said, but a lot of points out. You got to love that. Any surprises on the 2B crossovers for our local guys?
The one that Dylan didn't forget to type up because I'm sure he forgot, and it's fine, but PWV lost to Friday Harbor 24-21 on Saturday. They were down 17-0 in the third. And, you know, to go through all that of having to have Friday Harbor and Coopville play a game on Tuesday, then to Friday Harbor to beat PWV in Oak Harbor on Saturday, like it's wild. So
I did forget that game. That was our one close game. My apologies to PWV.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at that too. And Friday Harbor, for their thrilling win, was rewarded with the number 16 seed into the state tournament. So do we want to look at state brackets now and discuss seeding, one of my favorite things?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we'll start with the 2A bracket. Locally, WF West is the number 6 seed. They are going to be the quote-unquote host team and face Olympic. Olympic's the number 11 seed. So the way this works out is if you're a host team like WF West and you don't have a turf field, you will be hosting your first-round game at a nearby school that does have a turf field. So for WF West, they usually go Tumwater. It could be Centralia, but my guess that'll be at Tumwater.
Tommy said that because of Centralia's new turf. He expects it to be at Centralia just because they have nicer turf now, and they hosted their crossover at Tiger Stadium a few days ago.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense though. Good for them. So, do we know anything about Olympic? How do we feel about this one?
I actually don't know anything about Olympic. I'm pulling up there. I'm on Max Preps right now. They're the Trojans.
Yeah.
8-2 overall, 5-1 in their district. They lost to, pull up their schedule right now. They lost to Bainbridge in week 4 by 4, and then lost to Kings by 3 the following week. So they have They beat Squim in the league 28-7. I would say probably their best win. Aberdeen, maybe. They only beat them by 14. They beat North Kitsap by 15.
Okay. All right. Well, I like if they played Aberdeen relatively close, I think that bodes well for WF West here. So, all right. So yeah, WF West looking pretty good in their first round game. The other team in their quartet of the bracket, or the other matchup there, is number 3 Franklin Pierce and number 14 East Valley. So yeah, they're definitely 2 winnable games to get WF West into the semifinals. Just looking at the bracket overall. Number 1.
If they do face Franklin Pierce real quick, WF West, Kerry Nagel is at Franklin Pierce now, and I believe they're undefeated.
Oh, and yeah, former Tornado coach. Okay.
They brought that wing tee to Pierce County, and they're just destroying everybody, as far as I could tell.
That'd be a really good matchup, WF West against Franklin Pierce, if that does end up happening in the quarters.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, the number 1 seed, to nobody's surprise, in the 2A bracket, Tumwater. They will face number 16 Cedar Crest. Do we think Cedar Crest is going to shock the world here?
If they scored 14 points, I think that classifies as shocking the world.
Okay.
They have won 7 straight. They beat Foster. They beat Woodland from down south. They beat Lindbergh twice. I think one of those was a forfeit and some kind of tiebreaker. But yeah, I mean, congrats on making it to state. I mean,
yeah, your reward is Tumwater.
And I pulled their Max Pros up on my phone so my computer wouldn't blast an ad over the audio.
Thank you for that. So just a quick look around the rest of the 2A bracket. You've got number 8 Othello versus number 9 Seaholm, number 4 Linden versus number 13 Fife, number 5 Archbishop Murphy versus number 12 Ording, number 2 Anacortes versus 15 Bainbridge, and West Valley Spokane is a 7 seed. They'll play number 10 Prosser. Just looking at those seedings, did anything jump out at you guys as being wild or unexpected, or was that all fairly, acceptable?
I think Archbishop Murphy being the 5 is a little surprising, considering they beat Anacortes in the regular season. It was sloppy, but I'm a little surprised that they're the 5. I figured they'd be a top 4 and be able to host all the way through to the semis. I would not be stunned at all if it's Tumwater, Archbishop Murphy in that bottom semifinal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that quarterfinal between, barring an upset, Archbishop Murphy and Linden, like those are just, anytime you get 2 top 5 teams in a quarterfinal, I know you're kind of destined to have it happen just based off seeding, but that feels like a matchup that you'd see later in the bracket. So to see it in a quarter, and then for the winner of that to have to turn around and get Tumwater, that would be tough for either one of them.
I really like WF West paths to the semis. I really do. I think they could. I think that Franklin Pierce game is. I think they could win that game. That'll be one hell of a game. I really like their paths to the semis.
Okay. Let's take a quick gander at the 1A bracket as well. The 1A bracket is a 8-team and then 4 pigtail play-in games. So 12 teams. Okay, so
12 teams, yeah, top 4 bye.
Yeah, top 4 bye. Okay, so the first round games coming up this weekend would be number 6 Montesano versus 11 OMAC, number 7 Life Christian versus number 10 Kings, number 5 Nooksack versus number 12 Zilla, and number 8 Linden Christian versus number 9 Cascade Christian. I mentioned this just because we have some, peripheral teams on there. Montesano is a team we've seen. Life Christian is a team we've seen. Anything exciting there? Oh, number 1 Royal perennial powerhouse is also the top seed there.
Nooksack Valley Royal semifinal will be really quite something. I really think Nooksack Valley can get to the semis, and Royal they can give Royal a game, but Royal will probably win by 3 scores if I were to predict it ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not betting against Royal at the bottom. At the top, like you've mentioned, we've seen Montesano and Life Christian. I don't know much about OMAC. I've also seen Kings. I think Life Christian can take care of Kings to get to that Seton Catholic quarterfinal, and I think Montesano could top OMAC to get to the center. After that, once you start facing teams with buys, we saw it with Ani and Kalama last year. Even if you think it's going to even the team that has the bye, that's just such a big advantage. I think it might be tough for either one of them to get through to the semis.
Kind of
right.
sucks to see La Center and Seton Catholic on the same top half, but I get it.
And on to the meat and potatoes, the 2B football bracket. Before we go through blow by blow, any initial reactions from you guys?
Josh's initial reaction was an all caps text saying, "Wait, Napavine's number 3."
This is the lowest Napavine has been seeded since they started doing seeding in 2018. They were a 4 seed that year. Every year since that they've had these, there's been 4 of them. They've been either number 1 or number 2.
Do you think they're too high, AVT?
No, I think they're just about right.
I
think 3's fine. They lost 2 games to 2 good teams. They've got a little history on their side, but they're not quite as, just not quite as imposing as they have been the last few years. They're still a very good team, and I would not be shocked at all if they were in the finals, because they're in the finals seemingly every year.
This is when they do play their best football, and
yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I think I would have flipped Ani and Napavine, but I think that's nitpicking. I just think Napavine or Ani has just been very impressive after week 1. Now, granted, the schedule didn't really do them, much favors, because they blew out everyone. Like, they lost Nooksack Valley, blew out Toledo, blew out a couple other 1As. So I would have flipped Ani and Napavine, but I think that's nitpicking.
Yeah, I'm glad they're on opposite sides of the bracket. That's all that really matters is the top 4 teams, no matter where they are, is that they're the top 4 teams are the right 4 teams. And I think Okanagan, Asotin, Napavine, and Onalaska are the right 4 teams.
Yeah.
So number 1, Okanagan plays number 16, Friday Harbor, which is coming off their hot win over PL Valley. Toledo's the number 9 seed. They'll play Tri-Cities Prep. The winner of that will play probably Okanagan. Onalaska's got Newport. Newport will be coming from the far northeast corner of the state to face them somewhere. They'll probably play that. Tumwater Centralia would be my guess. Freeman plays Goldendale. That's the 5-12 game. Asotin's going to host Elam Roslyn. Northwest Christian LaSalle is the 7-10 matchup. Napavine will host Columbia Burbank. They seem to like to play at Centralia, so that's probably where that'll be. And then Adna will go on the road to play Liberty Bell. I'm assuming they will not go all the way to Winthrop to play that. That'll probably be like a Wenatchee game, would be my guess.
Okay.
The thing that sticks out here is there's so many exciting possibilities, like an Adna Napavine quarter, a Toledo Okanagan quarter,
Ani Okanagan semi,
Napavine or Napavine Okanagan final again. It lines up just to have good games throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I like this spacing, and this could just be a product of there only being 4 C2BL / District 4 teams in the bracket, that there isn't any infighting in the first or second rounds, really. Well, the first rounds anyway. But yeah, I like how the bracket's set up. I think the seating committee did a fine job, and like we alluded to earlier, now RPI is off the board and people could focus on the real game. So that's awesome.
How do we feel about Adna? Do you think we give them a shot against Liberty Bell?
Yeah, Liberty Bell, is this their first year playing in the 2B playoffs? Weren't they like the 1B champions a couple years ago, or last year maybe?
I'm not sure, to be honest, off the top of my head.
I thought they were.
Were they the team that beat Mossy Rock last year, or was that Wilburcrest and Keller?
I'm not sure.
No, they were 10. Yes, they were 10-0. They beat. Yes, Liberty Bell did win the 8-man state.
They beat
state last year. They beat Wilburcrest and Keller 68-22.
Yeah, Wilburcrest and Keller beat Mossy Rock in the semis, and 68-22. Yeah, they just, man, they didn't. Nobody came within 30 of them in the 1B playoffs last year.
Yeah, they've got 1 loss this year, and it was 22 to Okanagan, and they've basically destroyed everyone else.
So yeah, I think Adna's got a shot there. That should be an interesting game for sure. All right, this podcast brought to you by Goebel Septic, providing septic service and sanitation for Thurston, Lewis, Mason, Cowlitz, Grace Harbor counties. Everything you can imagine, visit goebelseptic.com or give them a call at 360-736-2167. We're keeping the ad short because we're on kind of a time crunch here today, given that we're doing this on Zoom and none of us pays for a Zoom account. So on to volleyball. Adna won its second straight District 4 title, beating Mossy Rock in 4 in Raymond. Cody was there, but he is not here. So we'll just run through the rest of this real quick. Rainier beat Raymond, South Bend, and Forks to advance to state. They finished third. Onalaska lost to Forks in 4 and came up a game shy of state. How do you guys feel about 2B volleyball districts? I'll bring up the bracket here and we can get into that too.
I think it mostly went some chalk. Onalaska not making it. We talked kind of throughout the fall. We always kind of hinted that like it's probably going to be 4 or 5, depending on the allocation, C2BL teams getting through to state, unless there's just a team from the Pacific that's better than usual. And Forks just happened to be that team this year. They took Mossy to 5 in a semifinal, and then obviously they beat Onalaska. Not seeing Forks until districts, I kind of just assumed the C2BL would roll all of the Pacific, but Forks just happened to be that team from the P2BL this year that snagged a spot at state. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. Taking a look at the 2E bracket. The number 1 seed is Adna. Did they earn that?
Yes.
Okay. They'll play LaConner in the first round. Also in their half of the bracket, Mossy Rock is the 4 seed. That's a potential semifinal rematch of the district finals. Mossy Rock has Colfax in the first round. On the other half of the bracket, Rainier is the 6th seed. They'll play Davenport in the first round, and then, potentially Freeman in the quarterfinals if they win that opener. So that's the long and the short of it. PL is also up to state for the first time in over a decade. They beat Columbia Adventist in 5 after Columbia Adventist had to forfeit the 5th set.
Yeah, so Columbia Adventist, 7-day Adventists. They moved the game up for Sabbath to 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Sabbath, they had to be home by dark, and they set a line of 4:30 for they had to leave by 4:30 to make it home.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th set would have started at 4:28, so they made the call and forfeited the 5th set.
That's interesting. All right, PL got to state, and they are the 20 seed.
Yeah.
Well,
8 a.m. game.
8 a.m. game against Soap Lake. That's a loser out game. If they win, they'll play Walla Walla Valley Academy at 1:30. This is Wednesday in Yakima on the 1B tournament. So good luck, PL. That should be interesting. And then in the 2As, who made it? Tumwater? Tumwater got in. They're the number 7 seed. They'll play Chief Self in the first round Friday morning in Yakima.
Real quick note on the 2A bracket. River and Ridgefield met in the district title game again because, that's a potential quarterfinal this year if they both win. That was the state championship last year. Josh kind of always talked about this last year, how whoever loses the district title is going to get super underseeded, and those are still probably the best teams. And that just happens to be Ridgefield again at the 6th. And since River got the 3, that being a quarterfinal is just one of those where it's like, how is that only a quarterfinal? But
yeah, that's a joke.
All right. What's not a joke is Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery and the deals. The amount of money you could save picking up your next mattress or your next, set of office furniture or your next bedroom suites from Elam's Home Furnishings, our sponsor. Check out their showroom at 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia or visit them online at elamshf.com. Now we move on to soccer. Napavine won its first district title in school history. Is that correct?
That's what Chris what's the last name? Teratokia said?
Terabakia.
Yeah, so from 09 to 12, when they made 4 straight state championship games, someone correct us if we're wrong, there was allegedly no district tournament. There are no...
Okay, yeah, that checks out. There were not that many teams that played soccer back then, I think. So
it was, the way Terabaki put it was that there was some kind of like regional play into state and no district. So technically.
Yeah, that's correct. That was my first thought too. It's like they should have won one back then, but I guess they didn't have one. All right, so Napavine beat Toledo 1-0 on a goal from Haley Gallagher.
Haley Gallagher. Yeah, it was the wackiest goal I've seen in a long time. It was up in the air for like 5 seconds. It gets down to the bottom right corner, shoots back up into the top right corner and gets past the Toledo keeper. It was a fluky goal, but it still counts, and that ended up being the difference.
All right, what happened in the other games over there? Adna, Onalaska, they're both in.
Yeah, Adna, they were very slow in the first 10 minutes and then picked it up. Bailey Nail and Lydia Tobin each had a goal in the first half. Acosta scored in the 77th minute. Adna did just enough to prevail. Ani also a slow start. Raymond Tupman scored in the 7th minute, and then Kaya Sandridge scored in the 34th on what I thought was an offsides, but it deflected off a RSV player, and so the center ref waved off the offsides, and Sandridge scored, and then that opened the floodgates from there for Ani. Both Adna now 13 straight years at state, Ani 7 straight years in state now.
Okay, we'll take a look at the brackets. Adna picked up the 11 seed. They'll play Mount Vernon Christian, the 6 seed, on either Tuesday or Wednesday. Those haven't been set yet.
Patrick texted me. He thinks it'll be Wednesday, but but that's not been confirmed.
Okay. Toledo is the 7 seed. They'll play Tenasket.
That is likely at Kelso on Wednesday. Also, that's tentative as well.
Okay. Napavine's the 5 seed. They'll play Okanagan.
Navavine, Okanagan in the playoffs. Let's do it again.
One more time.
Every sport, why not?
And Onalaska's the 9 seed. They'll play number 8 Highland.
I can't imagine they're going to go all the way to Highland for that, would they? That's one heck of a hike, isn't it?
Where is Highland?
That's by Pullman.
Let's see. That is indeed. Oh, Koichi. Okay. Yeah, that's oh no, it's Natchez. That's not that bad.
It's Natchez? Okay.
Yeah, it's on the way. You guys stayed there doing state softball.
That was our cabin stay. That was a fun time.
All right, so how do we feel about the C2BL teams being seeded 5, 7, 9, and 11? Too low, too high?
I thought I was a little surprised Toledo was going to be a top 8 seed, but I guess beating Adna and then keeping it close with Napavine was enough to sway the coaches in the seeding meeting. Mm-hmm. I really like Napavine's draw to get to the semis, and honestly, like I'm basically trusting John Bates at this point. He's pretty humble, where it's like, oh, it's not about me, it's about the girls, but he clearly knows what he's doing. He's got them playing as well as they've had in over a decade. So I just kind of trust them at this point. I feel like they've built up enough trust where you have to trust them until they lose.
All right. If you were taking bets on one of those 4 local teams making the finals, who would you take?
Napavine.
Okay.
Napavine. Just because I wanted to stay on Alaska, but if they win, they'll likely get the top seed Freeman in the quarterfinal with the tough. Yeah,
Freeman 17-0. They are by far and away, I believe, the best team in the classification. Ani would not Freeman would overpower them.
All right. Also, there was some winter to state soccer games, WFS and Tumwater. Neither of them were able to advance. Any quick comments there?
Tumwater just never got going. Last year they lost 5-1 in this same game, and the way Brett Bartlett described it was like, last year was just a calamity of errors, a comedy of errors, and then the way he put it, which I thought was nice, was like, then you're trying to climb a hill where there's no traction. Whereas this year was almost more painful because you're at home against Ari Long, and it was just 1-0. They had some chances, it just didn't go. WFS was pretty similar, but it was scoreless, and then it just went to PKs, and they won a PK shootout last week, and that's kind of what Schultz said. Kevin Schultz, the coach, he was like, the same girls that made the PKs to help us win last week just missed them today. It's just the way it goes sometimes. It's tough to happen in this game with state on the line, but it's just how shootouts go sometimes.
All right. This podcast brought to you by Americool Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is their business. They offer full-service HVAC installation, services, and repair with a 100% satisfaction guarantee on everything they do. Visit them online at west.americoolonline.com. You can request service or get an estimate, If you're having an emergency, you can call them at 360-996-5806. All right, let's check back on Zach's cross country. Let's see if this will play. Lead pipe blocks of the week.
I didn't hear it.
That's okay.
That's fine.
You guys aren't hooked into the soundboard. It's just recording you. So your lead pipe blocks, Rainier girls, 1B, 2B state champs. Although this is under protest from me.
Why?
St. George's had the number 1 and the number 2.
It's get a better 3 through 5. Not my problem.
The aggregate.
Just
money ball.
Yeah, this is I don't look.
They got on base, Aaron. They got on base.
It's just a series of balks. No, congratulations to Rainier. It's impressive. I just don't like cross country scoring. It's always been just beyond me. It's just like they take your top 5 runners placements and add them up, and the lowest score wins. Like, come on.
What
if you've only got 4 really fast runners and then one that comes in dead last and you lose every time? Because I don't know.
I'm sorry, you don't understand cross country, Aaron.
I understand it. If you have the number 1 and the number 2 best in anything, you should be the best.
Well, clearly you can't be. So.
I guess not. Anyway, congrats, Zach, on your correct pick, and congrats, Rainier, on your state championship. Was that their first time winning that?
First time in program history, yeah. Ruben King did a good job out there. He was stellar in coverage from Pasco. So,
okay. Let's see. Trayton Marty had a career best time. Career best time, is that right? He finished 3rd at state.
He finished 3rd, which tied his best.
Okay.
The time was it was not a career best time because he's gone under sub 16. He ran 16:08, which is not his best time.
Yeah, and the winner was I think 15:30, and then second was 15:38 or somewhere in there.
15:45. Yeah, Delaney and Warren just kind of they rolled. It was going to be a tall ask for Marty to win because Delaney was just that much better, and Warren just ran probably the race of his life that day. So yeah, but still you can't scoff at back-to-back 3rd place finishes at state. That's pretty impressive.
All right, Morton White Pass finished in the top 10 in the 1B 2B boys race. That's pretty cool.
First time in a while they finished top 10. Finished 10th exactly. They had 2 top 20 finishers in Hunter Brackett 16th, and then Vance and Armstrong got 19th.
All right, it's Rochester's Gunnar Morgan, Sasquatch himself. Top 30 finish of the 1A boys state championships.
Got 18th, I believe. I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, 18th in 16:36, respectable time. I believe that's his best time at Sun Willows Golf Course. I believe that might be his best. So yeah, ran well. All
right. And then one of the 4 Tumwater qualifiers finishes in the top 50. Did that happen?
Alexandra Broom, the Tumwater's best girl runner, she finished 40th in 2021.
Okay. All right. That's all we've really got. Do we want to talk about Game of the Week? What's going on with Game of the Week?
Check socials for the poll, or we might just make a call. We haven't talked about it yet. It's only Sunday, and we just learned. So
yeah. Well, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's gonna depend on locations, times, everything like that. So we'll make that call probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll figure it out.
All right. All right. Check socials for that. It'll be out everywhere. There will be options. And if you have a suggestion, leave a comment on one of the existing social posts or something, and they'll figure it out. All right, guys. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Best time of the year right now. Getting ready to lock in, and it's a race to December. Also, fun fact: next Monday, the 18th, basketball and wrestling practice gets underway.
Woo! The second best time of the year. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
One of the times of the year.
Thanks a lot. We'll wrap the podcast up here, and we'll talk to you next week.